Plato, the enemy of the sophists, the man who's responsible for giving the sophists a bad name, nevertheless puts in the mouth of Glaucon the ideas of the sophists, and in fact gives the finest expression to the challenge of the sophists to traditional morality and the foundations of justice. Glaucon gives voice to the idea that justice is merely convention, that justice is the set of laws, the rules that we've created, not to harm each other, whose consequences allow us to pursue our individual interests in an idealist way. Now, Glaucon, in other words, is saying that laws are simply like driving down the right side of the road. It could be the left, it could be the right, there's no objective reason one or the other, but to maximize, we've agreed upon this convention, and it has no deeper moral essence. For the rest of the dialogue, Socrates will pursue the idea that in fact morality is good in and of itself, that justice is somehow true and not simply the pursuit of interest, but in fact has a moral grounding. Socrates says, let's go back and think about the origins of society. You've said that it's an agreement not to hurt each other. But Socrates says that society has its origins, in fact, elsewhere. First, it originates out of mutual need. And second, it originates out of differences in ability. Socrates says this is the foundation of human society. People need each other, and people have different abilities. And somehow it's the combination of these abilities that they come to live in communities and pursue a greater good. Plato, throughout the rest of the dialogue, will have Socrates explore the nature of an ideal constitution, an ideal republic. And it's an amazing experiment in utopian thinking. Socrates says, imagine an ideal republic. It would have what he calls three classes: rulers, auxiliaries, and workers. That in this society, there would be a small set of rulers who would be the best, who would have the abilities that would allow them to guide the state. There would be a class of auxiliaries who serve a protective function. They enforce the rules, they protect the society, they serve a military role. And then there are the workers, the common laborers, who produce the agricultural produce that will feed and nurture this society. And so we see quickly the idea that there are differences in ability translated into differences in a social role. And for Socrates, these differences allow individuals collectively to pursue a greater good. Socrates imagines that this is an extraordinary kind of society. And famously, he envisions that the ruling classes will live an exceptional kind of life. He says that they will have no private property, following through to its radical conclusion, the idea that the state should be a community that pursues the common good. And Socrates believes that private property is what causes individuals to pursue private good. So he says we should have, in effect, a kind of community of property among the ruling classes. He also says, even more radically, that there should be no private families among the ruling class, that women and children should be had in common, that there shouldn't be husband and wife, but in fact that there should be no individual families, that children shouldn't know who their parents are, that there shouldn't be husband and wife, that this kind of division promotes the pursuit of individual good rather than public good. And so Socrates envisions a kind of communism of property and a kind of communism of family life amongst the ruling classes. It is, at least in broad outline, not radically distinct from the kind of society that Sparta was reputed to have. And in Plato's scheme, put in the mouth of Socrates, this will be turned into an ideal republic in which the rulers and the auxiliaries guide the state in the common good.